I got the music in me, knew it simply had to be my destiny. I'm blessed to be the best within my C-N-H-E-N-D. Please believe not Ninja Gaiden. I'm not the guy to fight with them lightning. They come and dumb and I leave them enlightened. What's up, my wizards? It's Dale from SBMTG down there on the YouTube.com. Down there, we like magic. And today, I'm going to give you another double deck tech. How about that? You know what's getting expensive to play right now? Aggro, of all things. It's kind of crazy. Haven't been able to say that in a while. Like, even when Mono Red Aggro was winning Pro Tours, it wasn't super expensive to play. But right now, the White Red Vehicles deck that's tearing up Standard is going to be like $175 if you want to put that together. And it doesn't sound like a whole lot, especially compared to Standard decks of days past. But that's still like as much as a brand new 3DS. And that's, you know, I like 3DSs. And like, you know, if you play any Standard deck in the format right now, you got to play a playset of Smuggler's Copter. That's like $60. That's like as much as a brand new video game. And I want to play WWF 2K17 as much as the next guy. And yes, I said WWF. I refuse to say, I will not say the other thing because of my childhood. But anyway, it cost a little bit more money than we're accustomed to play aggro in the format right now. So I figured today I would give you $5 mono white aggro. But while I was building that, I found that we can build an even better deck for not that much more money, $25. We can build a pretty stellar mono white aggro deck right now. So I'm going to give you both of them. And before I really go into things, I just want to take just a second here and thank the professor from Tulare Community College. He dedicated like a whole 3 minutes of one of his videos to promoting my channel the other day. And I didn't know he was going to do that. It completely blew my mind when I saw it. You know, he didn't have to do that. He just did it. And so super, just stand-up guy. Class act. And Brian, I know you like budget decks, so this one's for you, buddy. Thank you so much. Let's start with the $5 deck first, and I'm going to kick it off with the creatures in this aggro deck. That seems like the right thing to do. And you know, the cool thing about mono white right now is that we get some of the best one drops in any color in the format. So let me go ahead and show you those. We're going to play full play sets of Thraben Inspector, Expedition Envoy, and Town Gossipmonger. Town Gossipmonger can actually get pretty big on like turn 2 at 2-3 for just 1 mana invested. Not bad at all, obviously. And Expedition Envoy also just 1 mana for 2 power. That's where you want to be. And Thraben Inspector, I think we can all agree, is one of the better value creatures in the format for just 1 mana. You get a 2 toughness thing that does have a point of power and can ultimately draw you a card. So I like all of these 1-drops, and since we're, you know, very low to the ground aggro, I do want to play 12 1-drops and possibly even more. You know, I considered Kitesail Scout in this deck. I think that would be at least a decent play because we want a lot of 1-drops. We want to get on the board as early as possible. But as far as these go, these are just the best 1-drops available pretty much in the format. There's a few better 1-drops than this in like red, but for the most part, White's 1-drops are very good and very cheap. The problem is White's 2-drops aren't as stellar as its 1-drops right now, at least if we're only going to spend $5 on this deck. We'll get into some much better 2-drops when I do the $25 deck. But if we're going to only spend $5 or $10 on the deck, then we got to go searching high and low for the best 2-drops we can play for cheap in white. And I think a good place to start is Core Blade Whirl. Just a play set of this because it's a solid guy. It's a bear, 2 mana, 2 power, 2 toughness, good stats right there. Plus, you know, it works with Expedition Envoy. We got 8 allies in the deck, you know, itself included. So not a bad call, you know, drop this or an Envoy when this is in play. And all you guys get first strike when you swing in. Not bad, you know, a little bit of extra advantage is good on top of a creature that is basically on curve to begin with. So I think Core Blade Whirl is good enough, at least if we're only going to spend $5. Another decent card for like 10 cents right now is Servo Exhibition. This thing is just 2 mana to put 2 guys onto the battlefield, and that's not bad, you know. I know it's only 2 power and 2 toughness for 2 mana. That's on curve. But getting to split it amongst 2 creatures is pretty good considering we've got at least 1 or 2 ways to pump our creatures in this deck, and a wide board is pretty beneficial too. So I think Servo Exhibition does get a playset spot. Onto the 3-drop creatures, and considering we're playing Servo Exhibition, we can, I think, afford to play a light servo theme in this deck. So at 3-drop, I'm going to play 3 copies of Glint Sleeve Warden and 3 copies of Master Trinketeer. Master Trinketeer is actually a pretty good deal, man. This card could cost 4 mana. It's 3 mana, though, for a 3-power thing that, if you do have 4 mana, can then just put tokens on the battlefield for you for the rest of the game. And those tokens are automatically 2/2s. That's cool. Works with Servo Exhibition, and obviously works with the Fabricate on Glint Sleeve Warden. But Warden's fine by himself. He'll either put 2 creatures on the battlefield, or he'll put 1 big guy on the battlefield for you. But either way, 3 mana for 3 power and 3 toughness is not a terrible deal, and the synergy with Trinketeer is nice. Before I move on, I just want to point out that Trinketeer is really good in longer games. If we think the game's going to grind on for a little bit, then Trinketeer can be the thing that wins us the game, because we're basically putting out one, if not two creatures every turn later on in the game. So the Trinketeer is actually pretty nice. I'm going to finish the 3-drops though with 4 copies of Aerial Responder, or Dwarven Dayhawk, I think people are calling it. It's basically like a reverse Vampire Nighthawk. I would really like this thing to have Death Touch, but it just doesn't. Instead, Vigilance is not a bad ability, obviously, but 3 abilities on a 2/3 for just 3 mana is obviously great. Flying is fantastic. Lifelink is also very good. So 3 relevant abilities. I just want to play Responder because I think there's so much value on the card. And yeah, there's Smuggler's Copter. That costs 2 mana for a 3/3 flyer. This is 3 mana for a flyer that it will die to in combat. I don't necessarily like that either, but again, we've got ways of pumping our guys in this deck, so Responder gets a little bit better against Copter. I just think that Responder is so much value, it's such a good-looking creature, that I don't want the presence of one creature in the format to completely spoil my appetite to play Responder. He's just that good. On to the spells in the budget deck here. We're going to play 2 copies of Griff's Boon, 3 copies of Lithomancer's Focus, and 3 copies of Make a Stand. Now, Griff's Boon has been in a lot of these white-based aggro decks over the last 6 months or so. It's just a solid card. We can bring it back. It provides a buff and flying for just 1 mana. Fantastic card. I'm going to play a couple of those. But I think that Lithomancer's Focus deserves a little bit of attention here, and probably not that much explanation. Probably some of you forgot this card existed, but this is, speaking of Smuggler's Copter a second ago, a great way of taking out Copter with either, Aerial Responder, or let's say we swing in and they crew the Copter and try to block with it. That'll happen sometimes. Focus can be really, really good in those situations, not to mention that it's good against Eldrazi and other vehicles like Fleetwheel Cruiser, and the fact that it's just a 1 mana 2-power pump on top of all of that, so not a bad card. Period. A guy goes unblocked or goes blocked. We can either kill the creature blocking it or just go through for an extra couple damage. Something that you want in an aggro deck, and I like that it costs very, very little to do that. So a lot of good reasons, I think, to play Focus right now. It's a card that I've got my eye on. And then Make a Stand is just amazing, Make a Stand is maybe one of the best cards in this budget deck. Right now we're seeing a lot of Radiant Flames, Kozilek's Return, Fumigate even, so Make a Stand is good against every single one of those cards. So Make a Stand is fantastic, really good in combat situations that seem disadvantageous at first, but then we can just blow them out if they block wrong or if they swing in wrong. Make a Stand just has so many good applications right now, and I'm going to play a playset of it in between the sideboard in the main deck. In the main, I'm just going to play 3. But obviously, against decks that play tons of mass removal and stuff, board in that 4th copy, because Make a Stand is just over the top. The card is really, really good and is way under the radar right now. Here are the lands for you right now. We're playing 22 of them, and Sandstone Bridge is this, if you don't recognize it by name, because why would you? It's basically the tap land that produces white and pumps a creature when it comes into play. Also gives it vigilance, that's not bad. So here are the lands, and Sandstone Bridge, you don't have to play it, but I like it. And here's the board for you. We've got some pretty good options in white. Fragmentize is just very, very good right now for a lot of obvious reasons. Lithomancer's Focus will fill out a playset of, I like it a lot. Felidar Cub, good against troublesome enchantments, mostly like Stasis Snare and some other stuff. Retreat to Emeria, also good in long games, which is nice. We can either put out, every time we get a land that we don't really need, we can either put out another creature or buff all our guys. Just Retreat's very good. And Fairgrounds Warden is some decent removal that also puts a body on the field. And again, we'll fill out that playset of Make a Stand, because Make a Stand is just, I cannot pimp that card enough. Make a Stand is fantastic. Now, before I go into the other deck here, the $25 deck, I just want to talk about some things I didn't play in this deck, mostly because of budgetary concerns. First and foremost, Angel of Invention, which is like $350 right now on TCG Player, but I think it would add an awful lot to this deck. You'd probably have to add at least 1, if not 2 lands if you wanted to play a 5-drop, but I would love to play Angel in this deck. It's fantastic. On that note, by the way, I wanted to play Cogworker's Puzzle Knot, but I didn't know if it would be powerful enough at all. But if you had the money and you wanted to keep with that artifact theme, you could also play, obviously, Toolcraft Exemplar. I think that's something that you definitely want to do. And while we're talking about stuff you definitely want to do, I don't even have to mention that you want to play Smuggler's Copter in this deck. But if you only have a couple extra bucks, you could always throw in Always Watching. Or here's something I didn't try. There's a lot of stuff this time around, you'll notice. which means there's a lot of options for this deck. That's a good thing. Something I didn't try that you could is Renegade Freighter, which is, it could work. And then Gideon, if you had $1 million, you could play a couple copies of him too. He's pretty good. Now I'm going to forgo power rankings this time, and I know a lot of people really like power rankings, so I'm sorry. But I haven't played enough with either of these two decks yet. I feel like I can objectively issue power rankings, but as someone that's been doing the system for like 15 years, I came up with this system, by the way, when I was like in 8th grade, and I just sort of refined it over a very long time. And as someone that's been doing it for that long, I feel like the first deck that I gave you there is like a low 50s, 52, 53. And this next deck I'm going to give you is probably a high 50s. So that's just sort of all feeling, but I do not feel like I have played these decks for enough games to really confidently issue power rankings. So I'm just trying to remain objective. But wait, there's more. Like I said, got another deck for you. And this one's $25, which is 5 times as much as $5. But still, $25, not bad for a deck that I think can actually do some competing at your local F&Ms, and there's plenty of room for improvement there too. So let me go ahead and show you this one. Now I'll start with the creatures this time too, because, aggro decks and all that. And I'll just go ahead and tell you that our 1-drop suite is exactly the same. We're going to play a playset of Thraben Inspector, as well as a playset of Expedition Envoy and Town Gossip Monger. I already said a lot of what I have to say here. These are just premium 1-drops that are very easy to pick up right now. I think for a total of like $2, something like that, you can get playsets of all 3 of these cards. So go ahead and do it. Wise investment. Cool thing is, in this deck, even though it's only $25, we have access to much better 2-drops, and we can afford in this one to play a human sub-theme, which I think is probably better than the servo sub-theme. So let me just go ahead and show you 4 copies of Thalia's Lieutenant and 4 Hanwire Militia Captain here. Militia Captain, we're just going to have a lot of creatures if things are going our way. We're going to have lots of creatures, so Militia Captain I think is a must. And Thalia's Lieutenant, ditto. I mean, all 12 of those 1-drops are humans, and Thalia's Lieutenant's a human, Militia Captain's a human, so got a lot of human synergy in this deck, and Thalia's Lieutenant is obviously the best thing we could hope to do with humans right now. And she's dropped a lot in price. Thalia's Lieutenant was like $5 just a couple of months ago, but since we've sort of left humans behind, now we're more on the vehicles train. I guess pun intended. That's sort of redundant. We're going to play Thalia's Lieutenant because she's only $2. It's a huge price drop, and she's still a fantastic card. And to finish off the creatures, I'll keep the graphic up because we're just going to play 4 copies of Aerial Responder. Still a fantastic card, and we've got even more ways of pumping our guys in this deck, so we don't have to worry too much about it getting eaten up by Smuggler's Copter in this deck. I really like Aerial Responder. If you can't tell, 3 abilities, 3 mana, 3 toughness, 2 power, not bad at all. Lifelink, one of my favorite abilities. Vigilance, relevant, and flying, one of the best abilities objectively. So, Responder, yes, every day. We got an equipment that we can play for just like 30 cents, I think it is right now. It's Captain's Claws, which we'll play a playset of. Works really well with Hanwire Militia Captain, so Captain's Claws is really cheap right now and a very effective equipment that can help us develop our board and provide synergy too, so absolutely. Just like the white weenie decks of yore, of the long, long ago, we're going to play a Crusade effect, or an Anthem effect, as it's also known. We're going to play 4 copies of Always Watching here. Still a fantastic card, and it's also undergone a price drop. This thing was like $3 on TCG Player just a couple of months ago, and now it's down to $1.75. So playset will cost us like $6.50. Great price. I love all the price drops that have happened because they put this deck into like purely budget territory, and we still get to play a bunch of awesome cards that are sort of forgotten about in a lot of ways. Thalia's Lieutenant was a hot card just a couple of months ago. Now it's down to $2. Like, it's still fantastic. Same thing with Always Watching. Provides not only the buff, but vigilance, which is often overlooked, but really good in a heavy aggro deck. So only $6.50 to play a playset. Definitely do that. Now I want to finish off with the rest of the spells in the deck, and this is a lot like the first deck here. We're going to play 2 copies of Griff's Boon, 2 Lithomancer's Focus, and 2 Make a Stand. We're cutting a copy of Focus and Make a Stand here, but they will show up in the board. They will, definitely. They're still fantastic cards. But, I think we've just got better cards here that I want to take over like 4 of slots. So we just don't have as much room in the deck for cards like this. But Make a Stand is still one of my favorite cards. Absolutely, the card is still a lifesaver a lot of the time. And between this and the board, we're still playing a playset because I like Make a Stand that much. Same thing with Lithomancer's Focus. We're playing a playset in between the main deck and the board so that when you do encounter Smuggler's Copter and Eldrazi, you'll be ready. And then Griff's Boon, again, just freaking really, really good. Not much to say about it other than, hey, check out how good this card is. We all know by now. Here are the lands for this deck right here, and it's pretty much exactly the same. Look at that, you know, and again, you don't have to play the bridge. You don't have to if you're really, really adverse to lands coming into play tapped, but I like the bridge because late game, you know, after we're already set up, we've got the 3 or 4 mana we need to run off of, then bridge can be really good. It's like drawing a land, but not really drawing a land, because drawing a land kind of sucks on turn 6 in aggro sometimes. And here's the sideboard right here. It's very similar, right? You know, fragmentize, focus, make a stand. We get to play Lantern Scout in this one, though, which is a little bit different, and we're cutting it down to 1 Felidar Cub because enchantments aren't that much of a problem, but I do still want to have the option to play Cub. Now, there are a few things, if you wanted to make this a purely non-budget deck under any circumstances, that you could do if you wanted to build this deck, but I think that if you wanted to build a non-budget, you know, competitive deck out of this, then you might just want to add a color and go with red-white vehicles, honestly. But if you wanted to keep it mono-white, there's still Archangel Avacyn, obviously a good pick. Same thing with Selfless Spirit, especially in conjunction with Avacyn, and obviously Smuggler's Copter, Toolcraft Exemplar, if you wanted to go that route with it. Gideon's still hanging around. But if you wanted to add green, you could probably keep it relatively budget and add Heron's Grace Champion. I think that'd be fine. You know, this card is a cheap pickup right now. In the deck, you know, the mana base could just be just, you know, forests and plains, and, you know, evolving wilds. Maybe, you know, if you have a couple of bucks, you can get green-white dual lands. But Heron's Grace Champion might be a good pickup here, and it probably wouldn't increase the budget that much. That's all I've got for these 2 decks right now. Hope you enjoyed this. I really think that for just $5 or $25, we can build a workable mono-white aggro deck right now. The $5 deck is obviously not insanely powerful, but that $25 deck can actually pick up some wins for you pretty easily. And don't get me wrong, the $5 deck can pick up a win or two, especially game 1. But that $25 deck is like no joke. That deck is pretty darn good. So try these out. Let me know how you feel about them. Let me know what I missed. If you want to add or take anything out, I'm always interested in that. As usual, if you enjoyed the content, like the content, hitting thumbs up helps me an awful lot. And then sub if you're new. And I think I've got a lot of new subscribers over the last few days, ever since the professor shouted me out the other day at the end of his video. Thanks for that again, but I think I've got like 1,500 new subscribers since the just last few days. So everybody from the professor's channel, welcome to SBMTG. Keep watching his videos because he puts out awesome content and is just a generally extraordinarily nice guy. So don't stop watching his videos. He's awesome too. But welcome to SBMTG. We'll keep putting out awesome deck techs and stuff like that, and we won't let you guys down. Thanks for coming on board, and also thanks to all my older subscribers and the people that have been here forever. You guys are awesome too. Just everybody should hug all the time. Have we hugged it out? Good. I'm Deb from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.